Jamie Dornan has helped me move on. Please don't let it get too far. I learned to breathe more slowly amid the chatter. In Los Angeles, mornings always start with sunshine, but there are days when the sunshine is just routine, not enough to warm me. I pour coffee, lift my ivory cup, listen to the sparrows on the porch, and suddenly remember Jamie's short messages asking how I am. Not long sentences, not empty promises. Just a simple, "How are you today?" accompanied by a photo of the early morning London sky, as blue as the scarf I wear in the winter away from home. Sometimes, when people are going through grief, they just want to hear a calm voice. Jamie has that voice, soft, steady, simple. He asks the right questions and is silent when necessary. One day, when I wrote in my diary that I had learned to stand, I realized that in each of those places, there was a shadow of him, not shining, not moving, but quietly adjusting the light behind. I have wanted to say this many times to the press, but I know that every word can be torn apart or exaggerated. So today, I say it here, in my own voice, without exaggeration, without hyperbole. Jamie Dornan kept me going. Please don't take it too far. He kept me going, but please don't push it too far. Don't turn kindness into a story beyond its essence. Foggy mornings, short messages. In London, spring came slowly and the fog was as thick as an unwritten page. I went there for a few weeks, hiding from the metallic sounds of Hollywood. Every morning, I walked through the park, watching dogs chase each other on the wet grass, listening to the giggles of children behind scarves. I plug in my headphones, turn on a soft playlist, and try not to think about the newspaper headlines that used to make my heart race. Jamie meets me one such morning. He appears in a gray wool coat, a wool cap covering his messy hair, 2 cups of hot coffee. "You don't like my cappuccino too foamy," he says, half joking. I smile, take the cup, feel the warmth spread through my cold, dry fingers. We sit on a wooden bench overlooking the lake. "Some days, everything I used to believe in becomes gentle," I say, as if writing the opening line for a scene that doesn't need an audience. Jamie listened for a long time, sometimes nodding, sometimes asking questions gently, as if placing a hand on my shoulder. "When do you feel most relieved? When do you suddenly feel like everything is getting hard to breathe?" I used to hate questions. They reminded me of press conferences and interviews, lights on my forehead, microphones raised as if to pull the last note out of my throat. But here, the questions weren't meant to make a point. They made me feel like I was in a drafty room. The fine line between kindness and overblown story. One evening, we stopped at a small diner, round wooden tables, dark green tablecloths, licorice-scented candles. I told him about the naps that woke me up as if I'd run through a long tunnel. I told him how strange it felt to suddenly have a free afternoon, no filming schedule, no reminders. He listened, and when dessert was set down, he pushed his spoon toward me in a wordless invitation. "Eat. You haven't eaten today." When we left, we walked. The city was cold, yellow lights still on the sidewalks. "Are you afraid people will say too much?" I asked. "About you and me, about what you're doing, about what I need." Jamie chuckled. "I am not afraid to go too far, I am just afraid it will hurt you more. But we can set boundaries. Set them, and then repeat them." I was so grateful for the way he said you. When it comes to kindness, some people tend to look from the outside in. Jamie looked from the inside with me, accepting that boundaries are something we have to redraw together, in a straight line, not flirtatious, not blurred. That's when the words formed in my head, as a message not only to the media but also to those who witnessed. Jamie Dornan helped me move on. Please don't let it go too far. Help me move on, it's that simple. No more, no less. Don't force us into roles we don't want to play in real life. Learning to move on is learning to be present. People often say moving on is letting go. I think it's closer to being present. Being present in your own breakfast, in your phone call to your mother, in watering the basil outside the window, in laughing when the neighbor's cat gets into the laundry basket. Being present when you look in the mirror and realize your eyes are the same, just puffier on a rainy day or two. Jamie didn't teach me the art of forgetting. He invited me to do things that were small and ordinary enough to be simple. Shall we go to the gallery around the corner? Shall we walk another 10 minutes to the end of the river? Let's switch to tea in the evening. I discovered that small rituals help us be present, and being present helps us move on. I started writing again, not scripts or interviews, but the diary of someone reorganizing a drawer. I recorded the moments I thought were broken, and they were as pure as unmelted sugar. The smell of rain in Notting Hill, a hot day on Sunset Boulevard. The moment I realized I was no longer crying in the same place. And then, it was as simple as that. There was a friend who had been through those times with me. No demands, no distance, just quietly by my side. His name was Jamie. The room with the armchair and the floor lamp. In a short-term rental near Primrose Hill, there was a moss-colored armchair, a wooden-legged floor lamp, and a wide window overlooking the roof. I called it breathing space. Jamie brought a stack of magazines, a few old books, and a box of chocolates, he said, for those days when I believe in gossip too much. We read each other beautiful passages. He chose one about the persistence of small gestures. I chose one about learning not to script every emotion. We pretended, if our lives were a movie, what would this scene be like? I laughed. This scene is nothing special. He shrugged. That's why it's so therapeutic. I don't remember falling asleep. When I woke up, the floor lamp was still on, the soft yellow light like a warm hand on my forehead. Jamie left a note. Go to sleep. I'll lock the door. Text me when you wake up. No signature, no hearts, no hidden symbols. Just a simple reminder, and sometimes, simple is the ultimate kindness. Call, new keyword. I've made it a habit to call him whenever I get a text message out of the blue. He never picks up with what's up, as if waiting for the drama to die down, but calmly replies, it's me. Then he waits. One night, I said I hate the keywords people attach to my name. Jamie laughed. Let's make new ones. We made a list of desired keywords: calm, steady, present, honest, restrained, gentle. I wrote it on the inside of my wrist in marker, gentle. The next morning, the ink had faded, but the words remained, etched deeper into my flesh. Over the weeks, I deleted the accounts that were dragging me down, turned off notifications, and set a softer ringtone. As it turned out, the subsequent adjustments, as subtle as adjusting the volume of my heart, became increasingly apparent. Our rule: call it by its name and stop. Sometimes, someone's kindness gets stripped of its original form and given a new, more marketable name. I decided to make it a rule, for both him and me, to call our relationship by its name: friendship, empathy, collaboration outside of work, and stop when the outside story starts to lose focus. Jamie keeps the rule better than I do. A mutual friend once joked about our chemistry. He shook his head. There is no chemistry other than respect. That statement not only protects me, it protects him, and what is healthy and trusting about how we move forward together. I choose to be clear. Jamie Dornan has helped me move on. Please don't let this go any further. If anyone sees a dodge in that statement, I'll accept it. I knew what I was defending. Something so rare in public life: boundaries. Nights without interviews. Usually, when an old chapter closes, I dream of being called into endless interview rooms. In my dreams, microphones are tiny needles that pierce the air. After London, those dreams came less often. I dreamed of a gas stove with a small flame, a kettle vibrating softly, water dripping on the window. I dreamed of reading a book without music, listening to the pages turn. Listening to the pendulum clock in the neighbor's house. Listening to the night wind rustling on moss. One morning, I texted Jamie. I didn't dream of interviews. He replied immediately, congratulations. The interview was more spectacular than the premiere. Back to the studio. I returned to the studio, my body still the same, but the inner fear of the hard wooden interview chairs had subsided somewhat. My co-star asked me, "Are you okay?" I said, "Okay," in the sense of being present. That day, I was filming a breakup scene. The director called cut. I stood still for a few seconds, not because I was too emotional, but because I wanted to remember how I had done the previous scene without feeling lost. That night, I texted Jamie. You did a breakup scene without pain. He said, it's called The Art of Meeting Life. I laughed. A congratulations, in his way. No exaggeration, no hyperbole, just a calm assessment. And sometimes calm is the music I need. A day at Venice Beach. Back in Los Angeles, I strolled along Venice Beach in the early morning. Fog hung like a thin film over the ocean. I brought my London routine, a light jacket, a notebook, and the intention not to open Instagram. I sat down on the sand and wrote a few lines. I still love the waves. They come as a blunt intention, then leave as an apology. My phone buzzed. Jamie sent a photo of a new pair of running shoes. Finally got rid of the old ones. I took a picture of what I'd written and sent it back. He sent back a black and white heart. I liked the colorless heart. It looked more like a symbol than a promise. I think if anyone read this message, they would be disappointed. No confession, no secret, not even an exclamation point. But it was the absence of something that pulled me out of my tired place. Into the land of breath. End of day call. We still have the habit of end of day calls, not every day, but often enough to get used to having someone on the other end of the line. I tell him about the pasta I made with salt. He tells me about the time he mispronounced dinosaur when trying to read a children's book to his son. Two adults laugh about small mistakes, and maybe, when adults laugh about small mistakes, they no longer need a big mistake to define their time. I say, I'll rewrite a piece for the newspaper. He pauses, then says, write it like no one will edit it into anything else. I promise to try. Thank you and set boundaries. So here's what I want to say, no video, no innuendo, just a thank you. Thank you, Jamie, for texting I am here instead of what now. Thank you for the 2 cups of coffee, for the moss-colored armchair, for the floor lamp that stays on all night. Thank you for pointing out the boundaries when I forgot where they were. Thank you for letting me move on at my own pace, not at the pace of the stories out there. And this is my boundary to this world. Jamie Dornan helped me move on. Please don't let it go too far. That's enough. No more jewelry. No need for a couple, no need for a name, no need to pull 2 people apart, when in real life, our most painful kindness is knowing how to stand at a suitable distance. The page needs no title. Night falls, Los Angeles is as clear as a blank sheet of paper. I blow out the candle, put down the cup of tea, open the window to let the wind in. Somewhere, a car passes by, carrying the sound like a long hyphen. I don't know how many new headlines will be created tomorrow, how many sentences will be twisted to the writer's will. But I do know that on this piece of paper, I am allowed to replace commas, periods, and spaces. Maybe tomorrow, I will wake up early, go for a run around Silver Lake, text Jamie a picture of the sunrise on the horizon. Maybe he will text back a picture of slanting rain in London. And then each of us will be busy with our own day, a day that continues. I close the notebook. On the cover, I write 4 words: gentle, present, honest, boundaries. I smile. Tonight, I don't dream about interviews. Tonight, I just dream about opening the door, and it's a normal morning outside. A friend will send a normal text. I will reply in a normal way. And it's these normal things, repeated over and over, that have helped me get through the hardest times. If anyone asks, I'll say, I still believe in kindness. If anyone asks, I'll add, kindness has its limits. And if anyone wants a sentence short enough to fit in a headline, I'll say this. Jamie Dornan helped me move on. Please don't let it go too far. Sometimes kindness just needs to be called by its name and put in its place. We did, and that's enough.